Well, joining us right now are guests at this point of time, Rakesh Rao and Seth Bennett. Seth, let me start by asking you, what happened to England's campaign this season?
Hey, look, that's the question everybody is asking for an answer to, because how do you explain it? They've been the best side in this format of the game for the last 3 years and all but the last 3 weeks, something like that. It's inexplicable to, I think, the people that follow the sport in this country that England can come and not just lose games, but be so unlike what they've been, which was this aggressive front foot team that would come after you at the back, that they would bowl well. They had express pace. They had smart, clever spin through Adil Rashid. They had Moeen Ali. They had seemingly everything covered until this tournament, and now the wheels have fallen off the wagon.
Rakesh Rao, is this a case of being too stubborn when it comes to England? Why don't they change their approach? And shouldn't they be changing their approach after the first couple of matches?
Well, those guys thought that, that even on these, like wickets, they could do the same. But I think they needed a different approach, clearly. And at least, you've burnt your fingers once, twice, thrice. How many more opportunities are you looking for? And again, batting second, we have seen that the team hasn't done so well. And today, of course, they batted out of choice. And just look at the way they lost their wickets. Very, very meek sort of an approach. Those two, runouts were, of course, crazy. But look at the way outside the off stump, the way they were, the way they handled those balls there. It was crazy. And credit to the Sri Lankans for holding on to the offerings. They didn't spill anything as such. And we just waited for at least one stand to happen. One partnership was just building up between Stokes and Moeen after that opening stand. But then, absolutely, it's so disappointing to see England bat the way they did.
Seth, it was a great opportunity for England, especially because when you consider that they were playing at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, a place where their batters could have taken things as far as they should have. Do you think that is also a missed opportunity especially for the England top order?
Oh, absolutely. But every game has been really a missed opportunity, hasn't it? Because they haven't consistently delivered what they did. And on the screen it says, what happened to Bazball? Well, I guess Baz wasn't there and the ball went home. I think that's the reality of the situation here, isn't it? This is the squad that's at the back end of their era, isn't it? And we know there are players that are not going to be there. And there are some questions. Joss Buttler is not Owen Morgan as a captain. And there are going to be questions about his captaincy of the side moving forward. Whether would a different captain have made a bigger difference in there? Decisions to bring Ben Stokes in late on. The decision, I don't think anybody disagreed with that decision, but there are changes to this side late on in the picture, and maybe that has an influence on just, does everybody know what the strongest side is? I don't think they have. They've kind of juggled and chopped and changed and never quite got to where they want to get with this group of players. And I think that's going to be the issue for England moving forward, is actually who's the best 11, who's the best 12, 13, 14 players that can do all of the different things that they need to do in 50 overs. And maybe Joe Root's got a point. Maybe they do need to play more 50-over cricket where the focus has been on playing in the 100, been playing T20 blast, and it has been playing, in Test cricket, which is still such a massive thing in England.
Well, it's an interesting conversation, and you mentioned about England not playing as many ODIs as they should have. Rakesh Rao, do you agree with that point that Seth Bennett has made? Should England be playing more ODIs, more longer format games? Because most of the times that we have been seeing is that they have been playing either T20 cricket or they're focusing on Test cricket.
Or even 100, Yeah, you know why? Because, see, we all want this format to survive. And for it to survive, the top teams have to play more. There has to be, the number of games, the frequency of these ODI series, that has to be more. And of course, what we have been doing is that when you have a T20 World Cup, between the two teams, any series that happens, your focus is on T20 games. And now, when you have an year of the ODI World Cup, you suddenly say, no, now you have to play ODIs. Now, the thing is that you have the T20 World Cups every 2 years. You have the ODI World Cup, the World Cup, in fact, every 4 years. So, that frequency, explains it. But the point is that, yes, England had to play more. But now, of course, we all are using the advantage of hindsight, and we all are being very, wise now. But the point is, England got things wrong here. I think they came here they thought that they were going to outbat every team. Now, except that one innings out of 5, they have, at least in the last 3 matches, if you see, their batting has come a cropper.
Yeah.
So that explains it. Their bowlers were not their, it was not their strength.
Correct. Absolutely.
Bowling, but batting, my God, what a disappointment.
Absolutely. And a lot of that goes down to Jos Buttler's poor form as well. Seth Bennett, how much has that worked against England?
Jos Buttler could be one of the top 3, top 4 white ball batsmen in world cricket, for my money.
Yeah.
However, if he comes into a tournament and he's not consistently scoring and finishing innings, scoring at a good rate, but also scoring a weight of runs, and I think that's part of it. And you look at the England batting lineup, and the only player who really has kind of done the job you anticipated is Joe Root, who continues just to go about his business. And he was the player coming in that there were the most questions over within this England batting lineup. And he's just come in and he's tickled away, and he's got a 70, he's got a 50, and he's done okay. He's done what he does. But I think it's the others in that lineup where, David Milan has had another strong tournament for him where, again, I think people were getting close to writing him off. But that lower middle order where you would expect England to go from 300 to 370 in the last 10 overs of an inning, but they've not been able to deliver, and part of that is because they've been in a little bit too early. And today is the prime example. And, there's going to be one man in that stadium right now, one Englishman who is going to be sitting and very quietly smiling that Yorkshire grin of his in the stands. And that's Chris Silverwood, who for the last 2 years, people have looked at him and said, well, he never knew what he was doing. He had a team that he didn't coach very well, and they were too backward in their thinking. Well, his Sri Lankan team are doing very nicely, thank you very much. And he very quietly will be thinking, I am justified somewhere in all of this.
Well, a loss for one English man is a gain for another. I also want to ask you about the opening combination that England have gone in with in this tournament. Seth, do you feel it would have been a wiser option for somebody like a Jos Buttler to come up the order and open the innings?
You've got Johnny Bairstow there, who is tried and tested in these conditions. And David Milan arguably has been England's most consistent batsman throughout the tournament. So I think it's very hard to kind of second guess that. What you would have anticipated is that the contributions from 4 down would have been an awful lot more conclusive, heavy scoring, heavy hitting, and impactful on the games. They just haven't had the impact in the sort of middle of the order that you would have anticipated from this particular England team.
Well, the slogan for this World Cup is "It takes one day." Well, for England, that day is today, and the time is now. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on the show. We'll slip into a short break. More news on the other side.